The clock of life is wound but once, and no one has the power to tell when the hand will stop at late or early hour. Now is the time that we have. Live, love, work with a will. Don't wait until tomorrow, for by then the clock may be still. Those words, I believe, speak to the situation that the Apostle Paul finds himself as he writes in his second letter to Timothy. Timothy, his young son in the faith, was one of the ones in whom Paul was going to entrust the future of the Christian church. Paul is alone and cold and in prison. He asks Timothy to come and see me. Bring me my coat to keep my body warm. Bring me my books and my parchments to warm my soul. And then Paul says this, do your best, Timothy, to come before winter. Come quickly, in other words, Paul says. But come before winter, because you see, winter meant not only the snow and the ice and the wind and the rain, it meant stormy seas and impassable seas. It meant that if Timothy delayed, if he procrastinated, it might be too late and he wouldn't get there in time. So Paul is begging Timothy, please, Timothy, come right away. Now, I hate to tell you this, but the Bible does not say whether or not Timothy went, whether or not he made it in time. I mean, you can read the Bible from cover to cover, but there's no word about it. You can read all sorts of scholarly commentators, and no scholar has a single word as to whether or not Timothy went. I wonder, if Paul were to write to you, if he were to write to me and say, I really need to see you, would you have gone? Would I? If Paul were to say, I just need a little bit of support and I need a few of my things, would you have dropped everything to answer Paul's request? Or would you have procrastinated? Procrastination is a Latin compound word. Pro in Latin means forward. Crast means tomorrow. So to procrastinate means to push forward to tomorrow the things we know need to be done today. I think Mark Twain gave the best definition of procrastination when he said, don't put off to tomorrow the things you can put off to the day after tomorrow. What in your life are you putting off to tomorrow that you know you ought to be doing today? Is there a phone call that you really need to make, but it's not an easy phone call because the person that you're calling really doesn't want to hear what you have to say? Is there a decision that you have to make and you've been putting it off? Is there a medical exam or a medical test that you know you need to take care of, but you're putting it off? Maybe someone's even procrastinating in their relationship with God. Maybe you've been saying for a long time, I know there's one or two areas of my life that aren't quite right, and I know I've got to deal with it. I need to address it, but you're putting it off. What are the things that you're putting on the back burner of your life that you know need top priority? Alexander the Great once said, the reason I am successful is that I act time and time again without delay. What is the thing that God wants you to act on in your life without delay? Why not just do it today? Do it as soon as possible, for the clock of life is wound but once, and no one has the power to tell whether it will stop at early or a late hour. Now is the time that we have. Live, love, work with a will. Don't wait until tomorrow, for by then the clock may be still.